Chapter 3. Dark Empire. The Emperor Reborn. The galaxy had barely begun to breathe. The New Republic had clawed its way back from the brink of destruction at Grand Admiral Thrawn's hands. Yet, an older, far more insidious darkness stirred. It was a darkness that defied death itself, malevolence that had seemingly been extinguished above Endor. The true nightmare, it seemed, had only just begun, for Emperor Palpatine, architect of the Galactic Empire and master of the dark side, found a way back. His return was not a resurrection in the traditional sense, but a horrific act of will, a triumph of Sith alchemy and technological manipulation. Palpatine had mastered an ancient Sith technique known as essence transfer, forbidden art that allowed him to project his spirit into clone bodies. Before his apparent demise at Endor, he had prepared a vast store of cloned replicas of himself on the hidden world of Byzes, a planet shrouded in the dark side, its population enthralled and drained by Palpatine's insidious presence. The first manifestation of this terrifying comeback occurred when a massive dark side surge ripped through the galaxy, shaking Force sensitives to their core. Its ominous tremor coincided with the re-emergence of terrifying Imperial forces from the deep core, forces wielding weaponry far beyond anything the New Republic had previously encountered. These were not the fractured fleets of squabbling warlords. This was a cohesive, unified, and utterly merciless Imperial remnant, driven by a renewed, chilling purpose. Palpatine's initial clone bodies were imperfect, decaying rapidly, a testament to the strain of containing such immense dark side power. It's forced him to constantly seek new, more robust vessels. He operated from the shadows, manipulating events, gathering his loyalists, decaying, and unveiling his new instruments of galactic conquest. His return shattered the fragile sense of security the New Republic had only just begun to cultivate. The very notion of final victory at Endor became a cruel joke. The New Republic, still recovering from the Thrawn campaign, found itself unprepared for this resurrected evil. Mon Mothma, Leia, Organa, Solo, and the other leaders faced an existential crisis. How do you fight an enemy that cannot die? How do you defend against a power that corrupts the very fabric of existence? The answer, terrifyingly, lay in the Force itself and in the Skywalker bloodline. Luke Skywalker, having just begun to rebuild the Jedi Order, felt the dark presence with an agonizing clarity. He knew, instinctively, that this was the Emperor, somehow returned. The temptation was immense. He understood that to truly defeat Palpatine, he might need to confront the darkness from within, in a shocking and controversial decision that would haunt him for years. Luke made the audacious and perilous choice to feign a turn to the dark side. His intention was to infiltrate the Emperor's inner circle, to learn the secrets of his immortality, and to destroy him from within. It was a gamble of unimaginable stakes, placing his very soul at risk. He bowed before Palpatine, pledging himself as his new apprentice. The galaxy watched in horror as their hero, their last Jedi hope, appeared to embrace the very evil he had once fought to destroy. Leia, however, with her deep connection to her brother, sensed a sliver of his true intent, a flicker of light buried beneath the manufactured darkness. She held on to that hope, even as others lost faith. Under Palpatine's renewed command, the Empire unleashed horrific superweapons that dwarfed even the Death Stars in their destructive potential. The World Devastators were colossal, automated factories that consumed entire planets, processing their raw materials into new starships and war machines. They literally devoured worlds, turning vibrant ecosystems into slag and then into instruments of war. The sight of a world devastator descending upon a populated planet was a vision of pure, technological terror, erasing civilizations with cold, efficient malice. Even more terrifying was the Galaxy Gun, a massive hyperspace cannon capable of firing projectiles through hyperspace to strike any planet in the galaxy. its primary target, the New Republic capital, Mon Cal-A-Ma-Re. The Galaxy Gun represented a new level of indiscriminate planetary destruction, a weapon designed not for conquest, but for absolute annihilation. It was a tool of ultimate despair, meant to crush all hope of resistance. The World Devastators and the Galaxy Gun brought untold devastation to the New Republic. Its populated worlds were scoured clean, entire populations wiped out. The sheer scale of the destruction threatened to break the New Republic's will to fight. The planet-wide destruction of Mon Calamari, a vibrant and vital world that had provided the backbone of the Rebel Alliance's fleet, sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Its destruction was a symbolic blow, a clear message from the Reborn Emperor that no world, no matter how cherished or well defended, was safe from his wrath. The cries of billions echoed through the Force, testament to the Emperor's boundless cruelty. Leia Organa Solo, now a mother to the young Jedi twins, Jason and Jaina, found herself at the heart of this renewed conflict. She had always been a leader, a senator, a diplomat, but now her burgeoning connection to the Force became paramount. She embraced her Jedi heritage, training under her brother's initial guidance, and later honing her skills in the crucible of war. Her unique position, balancing her political duties with her growing Force abilities, made her a crucial figure in the fight against the reborn Emperor. She was a beacon of hope, fighting not just for her government, but for the future of her children. In the galaxy, the climax of the Dark Empire conflict came with a desperate confrontation on Bizes. Luke, having played his dangerous game of deception, had learned much about Palpatine's secrets and weaknesses. He had endured unspeakable temptations, battled his own inner demons, and walked a razor's edge between light and dark. His apparent fall had allowed him to gain insights that no loyal Jedi could have achieved, yet the price was almost too high. He struggled to maintain his true self amidst the overwhelming influence of the dark side. It was Leia who ultimately brought about the redemption of Luke Skywalker. Confronting her brother, she appealed to the light within him, reminding him of his true purpose and his love for his friends and family. Her unwavering faith, her refusal to believe in his genuine fall, helped him to break free from Palpatine's mental grip. The Skywalker siblings, united in the Force, stood against the resurrected Emperor. Their combined efforts, along with the sacrifice of others and the timely intervention of Han Solo, led to the final death of Palpatine. In a desperate moment, Luke and Leia channeled the light side of the Force, overwhelming Palpatine's current clone body. The Emperor's spirit, attempting another essence transfer into the infant Anakin Solo, was thwarted by Han, who shot the intended clone vessel. Palpatine's consciousness, unable to find a new host, was irrevocably shattered, consumed by the Force itself. This time, the death felt final, absolute, a true end to his reign of terror. However, Palpatine's return had left lasting scars and spawned new, dangerous offshoots of his dark empire. The Emperor's Shadow Guard and other elite forces, fanatically loyal to the reborn Palpatine, continued to operate even after his final demise. These were not just stormtroopers. They were Force-sensitive enforcers, dark side adepts, and technologically augmented warriors who carried out the Emperor's will with chilling efficiency. They hunted down Jedi, suppressed dissent, and attempted to continue the brutal legacy of their master. Their presence ensured that the shadow of Palpatine would linger for years to come, a constant reminder of the dark side's resilience. Leia's role as a leader evolved profoundly during this era. Not only did she embrace her Jedi destiny, but she also solidified her position as a central figure in the New Republic's political landscape. She became a powerful advocate for peace and stability, using her Jedi insights to guide her diplomatic efforts. Her compassion and strength inspired a galaxy that had been plunged into despair. She understood that defeating Palpatine was not merely a military victory, but a spiritual one, requiring a deep commitment to the light and to the values of justice and freedom. The Dark Empire conflict forced the New Republic to confront the true nature of evil. It taught them that death was not always the end, that some forms of darkness could transcend even that finality. It highlighted the terrifying power of the dark side and the immense responsibility that came with wielding the Force. The galaxy learned that eternal vigilance was required, and that the struggle between light and shadow was a constant, evolving conflict. The events reshaped the lives of the Skywalker and Solo families, deepening their commitment to the Jedi path and solidifying their roles as guardians of the fragile peace they had fought so hard to establish. The threat of the Emperor had been neutralized, but the lessons of his return would forever echo through the Force, a grim warning against complacency. Chapter 4: Jedi Reborn, New Order, and the rise of the Solo legacy, with the shadow of Palpatine finally banished. A fragile but undeniable dawn began to break across the galaxy. The New Republic, battered but not broken by the relentless onslaughts of Thrawn and the reborn Emperor, could now, at long last, turn its attention to a more fundamental need: the restoration of hope and balance to the Force. This monumental task fell to Luke Skywalker, the last surviving Jedi Knight of the Old Order and the architect of a new beginning. He understood that simply defeating the Empire was not enough. The galaxy needed spiritual guidance, return of the Guardians who had once upheld peace and justice for millennia. Luke's vision for a rebuilt Jedi Order was not a mere recreation of the past. He recognized the flaws that had led to the old Jedi Order's downfall: its rigid dogmatism, its detachment from the living Force, its adherence to strict, often unyielding rules that sometimes stifled compassion and personal connection. He sought a more flexible, more emotionally attuned path, one that embraced the full spectrum of life and the Force, rather than fearing it. His philosophy converged sharply from the old ways, emphasizing that Jedi could have attachments, could marry, and could experience the full range of human or alien emotion, as long as they remained disciplined and committed to the light. This new philosophy aimed to prevent the very fear of attachment that had contributed to the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader. The sacred site chosen for this momentous endeavor was Yavin 4, the lush jungle moon that had once housed a hidden rebel base amidst ancient Massassi temples, permeated with the echoes of both light and dark side history. Luke established the Jedi Praxium. This academy was to be a beacon, a sanctuary where Force-sensitive individuals from across the galaxy could come to learn, to grow, and to understand their place in a Force-rich universe. Students arrive from diverse backgrounds, each carrying their own histories, their own burdens, and their own unique connection to the Force. Luke personally oversaw their training, blending traditional Jedi techniques with his own intuitive understanding, fostering individuality and encouraging questions. Among the first, its most prominent of Luke's students were Kype Durran and Corran Horn. Kype Durran was a young man deeply touched by tragedy, a survivor of Imperial oppression with a powerful, almost raw connection to the Force. His intensity and his direct experience with suffering made him a formidable, sometimes volatile, Force user. Corran Horn, on the other hand, was a former Corellian Security Force officer, a highly skilled investigator and pilot with a more grounded, pragmatic approach to the Force. He initially struggled with the spiritual aspects of Jedi training, preferring logic and tangible evidence, but his dedication and his inherent moral compass eventually guided him toward a profound understanding of the Force. These early students represented the diverse and often challenging individuals who would come to shape the new Jedi Order. The early years of the Praxium were marked by both profound breakthroughs and immense trials. One of the most significant challenges came from within the Order itself, centered around Kype Durran. His raw power coupled with his deep-seated anger at the Empire's injustices, made him susceptible to dark influences. He was manipulated by the lingering spirit of Exar-Kun, an ancient Sith Lord trapped within the temples of Yavin 4. Under Exar-Kun's corrupting influence, Kype Durin briefly fell to the dark side, becoming a destructive force and wielding a terrifying superweapon, the Sun Crusher. The Sun Crusher is a devastating prototype starfighter, small and virtually indestructible, designed to fire resonance torpedoes capable of causing stars to go supernova. Kype Durin, under the influence of Exar-Kun, used this weapon to annihilate entire star systems, wiping out billions of lives in a horrifying display of uncontrolled power. This catastrophic event forced Luke to confront the profound dangers of unchecked forceability and the lingering influence of the dark side, even within his own students. It was a stark reminder that the battle for balance was not merely against external enemies, but a constant struggle within oneself. Luke, despite the heartbreak, refused to give up on Kype Durin, ultimately managing to free him from Exar-Kun's grip and guide him back to the light, though the scars of his actions would forever remain. The incident deeply informed Luke's teaching methods, emphasizing self-control and the dangers of allowing emotion to dictate actions. Another pivotal journey during this period was the slow but inexorable transformation of Mara Jade, having been manipulated by Thrawn and still carrying Palpatine's insidious command to kill Luke Skywalker. Mara's path was fraught with internal conflict. She found herself repeatedly crossing paths with Luke, often initially in adversarial roles, but circumstances forced them to cooperate. Through these shared trials, Mara began to see Luke not as her destined enemy, but as a complex individual committed to good. The deeply ingrained hatred began to dissolve, replaced by respect, then by grudging camaraderie, and eventually by love. Her force abilities, once used for assassination and espionage, began to shift, guided by her evolving moral compass. Her journey from the Emperor's hand, an assassin for the dark side, to a skilled, independent force user, and ultimately to a powerful Jedi Knight, was a testament to the transformative power of redemption and choice. Her unique perspective, forged in the fires of the Empire, brought a pragmatic and sometimes cynical, but ultimately loyal strength to the burgeoning Jedi Order. While Luke focused on rebuilding the Jedi, the New Republic was simultaneously securing its political future, guided by Chancellor Mon Mothma and the steadfast Leia Organa Solo. Leia, having embraced her own Force heritage, became a vital bridge between the spiritual and political leadership of the galaxy. It was during this period that the Han and Leia's children truly began to emerge as central figures in the galactic narrative. Jaqen, Jaina, and Anakin Solo, born amidst the chaos of a galaxy still at war. These three Force-sensitive children represented the future of the Skywalker bloodline, and indeed, the future of the Jedi. Jace, En, and Jaina. Twins with a profound connection to each other and the Force, quickly showed immense aptitude. Jaqen was introspective, philosophical, and deeply attuned to the nuances of the Force, often seeking understanding beyond mere power. Jaina was pragmatic, fiercely independent, and a natural pilot, embodying the daring spirit of her father and the Force sensitivity of her mother and uncle. Anakin Solo, the youngest, possessed an incredibly raw and powerful connection to the Force, reminiscent of his namesake, the original Anakin Skywalker. Their upbringing was unique, a blend of traditional New Republic values and the nascent teachings of Luke's new Jedi Order. They represented the hope for a balanced future, a generation raised in an era striving for peace. As these young Force sensitives matured, the Jedi began to confront their place in a modern galaxy. This was not the ancient Republic, where Jedi served as generals and peacekeepers with unquestioned authority. The New Republic was a democracy, wary of centralized power, and the Jedi were a newly re-emerged, often misunderstood, order. Luke emphasized that the new Jedi would be guardians and counselors, not rulers or soldiers. Their role was to protect the weak, mediate disputes, and serve the Force, operating within the framework of the New Republic, not above it. This required delicate diplomacy and a careful balance of power. The reestablishment of the Jedi Order was a slow, arduous process. There were philosophical debates, internal struggles, and constant threats from those who feared or sought to corrupt the Force. The Jedi were few in number, constantly challenged by remnants of the Empire, dark side, cults, and new, unforeseen dangers emerging from the galaxy's hidden corners. Each new student, each new crisis, refined Luke's vision and tested the resilience of the burgeoning order. The experiences with Kype Durran and the Sun Crusher, the complexities of Mara Jade's redemption, and the growing force potential of the Solo children all contributed to a living, evolving philosophy for the new Jedi. The Jedi Praxium on Yavin 4 became a symbol of this new hope. It's a place where the light was nurtured and protected. It was a far cry from the glittering temples of Coruscant in the Old Republic, embodying a more humble, more grounded approach. Luke's students were taught not just lightsaber combat and force techniques, but also empathy, self-awareness, and critical thinking. They were encouraged to engage with the galaxy, to understand its peoples, king, and to act with compassion rather than rigid adherence to dogma. This era marked a profound shift. The Jedi were no longer relics of a forgotten age, but active participants in the galaxy's reconstruction. Luke Skywalker, burdened with the immense responsibility of rebuilding what war had destroyed, tended the flickering flame of the light, ensuring it would grow into a guiding beacon for future generations. The rise of the Solo children, destined to be powerful Force users, intertwined the fate of the Skywalker legacy with that of the New Republic, ensuring that the struggle for balance would continue through the very heart of the galaxy's most iconic family. Their journey had just begun, and the galaxy watched, hopeful yet uncertain, as the light of the Jedi began to shine anew.